The World Trade Center steel beam relic cross is being attacked by atheists. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. Joining me in studio today is Sean Akers, Liberty Counsel's Vice President of Middle Eastern Affairs. Well, Sean, I guess it's not surprising on 9/11, the 11th anniversary, while millions of Americans were praying for the families and friends of the precious lost souls on 9/11 in both New York, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., the group American Atheists was busily attacking the 9/11 World Trade Center steel beam cross that has been donated to the World Trade Center Memorial, and have filed a lawsuit against the cross, trying to have it removed. The contrast is pretty stark when you consider, again, that this World Trade Center cross was one of the most profound, I think, symbols of hope and comfort that many of the families and friends of the 9/11 victims, indeed much of America, looked to and leaned upon during that horrible time in our United States history.
Matt, it really is hard to believe that this group would be so insensitive, even if they disagreed, even if they're right on the fundamentals, which they're absolutely not. They're absolutely wrong on the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. But even if they had a case to make here, the incredible callousness of attacking this one symbol that came through that destruction and provided so many people with comfort in the days and months and years after losing family members at 9/11 is hard to even fathom, Matt. It's hard to understand what's going through these people's minds.
Yeah, well, fortunately, as you mentioned, they don't have a legal leg upon which to be so hopping mad, which they clearly are. The United States Supreme Court has ruled over and again, repeatedly, for instance, in Abington v. Shemp, that, quote, religion has been closely identified with our history and government. And in fact, as you know, Sean, in Lynch v. Donnelly, the religious elements within a larger government display have been ruled to be perfectly constitutional, where both a religious and a, quote, secular purpose are represented. And there could be no better example than the case at hand. Well, here's what's interesting. These atheists are claiming that they feel left out and essentially that they are receiving unequal representation. And consider that almost the entire 9/11 memorial is completely secular in nature. They have this one, some people feel, miraculous symbol of hope. That, yes, it's a cross, which is Christian, but certainly even non-Christians look to it for comfort and hope during that time. They're attacking that one small sliver of this 9/11 memorial that represents faith. And in fact, they've gone so far, and here's where the absurd becomes comical. They are claiming that this 7-foot, this cross is causing debilitating physical reactions for these atheists, such as, quote, inter alia, dyspepsia, symptoms of depression, headaches, anxiety, and mental pain and anguish. Just from looking at the cross, I'm reminded of vampires seeing a cross and hissing and turning away and running to the sanctuary of their icy cold coffin to get away from this cross. The vampires are the living dead. Frankly, atheists are living dead in that they have not yet recognized the glory of God.
Matt, but it is very revealing if you think about it. Either one, they're making an extraordinarily outlandish claim that they're having psychosomatic episodes due to just viewing a cross. They're either lying or they're telling the truth. If they're lying, then we have a real problem with credibility in this case, and what you're doing is using taxpayer dollars, and you're taking on the entire institution of the United States with all of its history because you'd like to make some little whimsy social change. Or two, they're telling the truth, and if they are, there are much deeper issues here. Yeah, right. If you can't look at a cross without having serious physical reactions, I'm not sure that you're filing in the right place. It might be a disability claim that you have for some psychological problems. But in either event, Matt, this really does go way out into the area of the ridiculous. The root of it is a growing, not just hope that we become a secular nation, but an actual hatred for Christianity that is being given rise in a variety of growingly vocal groups like this who, come on, the root of this is literally that they can't stand the thought that God would have any place in the United States. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, if you look at our history, until very, very recently, God has always been honored in the United States. The founders themselves, the ones that these guys rely on so much to prove their secular points, did things. For instance, Jefferson was well known for seeking public funding to provide Bibles to people. I would really encourage these atheist ladies and gentlemen to make a trip to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and just read what's written on the monuments there. Just take a tour of our nation's capital and see what the founders thought about recognizing God, because what you see is Washington, D.C. is replete with references to God, up to and including the very court that these people would hope to get to challenge the 9/11 cross.
Yeah, that's the irony here. The very Supreme Court to which ostensibly this case could go, I doubt it. It's going to probably get thrown out in the lower level. But the Ten Commandments and Moses are represented right above the bench, where in the United States Supreme Court, what are these atheists? I suppose at that point they'll just spontaneously combust or turn into a bat and fly away. Who knows? But take their logic for a minute, though, Sean. We're Christians. What does atheism stand for? Nothing. Materialism that we all have emerged when lightning struck a mud puddle some billions of years ago, and that life spontaneously came about, and now here we are. So using their same logic, I guess we could look to the lack of more religious or Christian symbols at the 9/11 memorial site and have these debilitating physical reactions by a lack of. I mean, it's nonsensical, and it shows how disingenuous they are. I don't believe for a minute that they're having these horrible reactions, but they have to be able to state a claim. They have to be able to state damages. They have to, and so that's what they're trying to attempt here. But it's the theater of the absurd as well.
I think the larger message, Matt, that our listeners need to take away from this is the tactical and strategical things that are taking place here. You've got a very small group that are not in any way representative of any major group in the United States. You're talking about a very small cross-section. And you're seeing that old adage of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And they're hoping that even though they represent a very unpopular mindset, that they'll get some ground with it by making a big deal out of it. The fact is that the American people need to stand up and be heard as well. While these guys have a First Amendment right to be heard, so do you. You and I have a right to be heard on this issue, too. And what you find out is that the vast majority of the United States not only has no problem with there being a cross at 9/11, but this particular piece of miraculous showing is one that people find a great deal of comfort in. They're very proud of, and it would hurt a lot of people to remove it. So people need to stand up and make sure that their voices are heard in opposition of this.
Well, folks, Scripture says the fool has said in his heart there is no God, and we certainly see folly, foolishness abound from the progressive so-called mindset, certainly God deniers and those who bristle and recoil at the mere sight of a cross at the 9/11 memorial, something that is a part of history, not just a religious symbol. Liberty Counsel, folks, we are here to educate you about these kinds of attacks on our religious freedom, on religious liberty. Go to lc.org. Ask for the Patriot's Handbook of American Liberty. In it, you can become educated about your rights as individuals, what the Constitution actually says relative to religious liberty and freedom. Give us a call, 1-800-671-1776, or go to lc.org. Again, ask for the Patriot's Handbook of American Liberty. Liberty Counsel is standing in the gap to protect your freedoms.